People tend to meet up there or trade or kill new players. It's Obsidian. Okay. See, back when I played Minecraft multiplayer, and the game was still in alpha, early beta, there was a creative server, and the guy who ran it, his name was AJ. I became a mod on that server because I spent a whole lot of time there. And they're like, fine, you can have your own map, because I really just wanted to build. I did deal with, like, a couple... I had to kick a couple people. I don't think I ever had to ban anybody. But then he's like, hey, we're starting this survival multiplayer server. How about you come join and help it get started? But there was just one problem. The account I was using, we didn't have the money at the time to afford 2 copies of Minecraft. So I shared a copy with my younger brother. And we attempted to stay on, you know, separate servers, but he's like, I want to join this one, because you're a mod on that one, and I want to be a mod. He didn't deserve it. So he'd start logging in, and I found out he was logging in because one time I spawned into his house, and I get a comment like, hey, why'd you blow up my things? That's not a good way to start. So anyways, I'm mod on the server, and like the only people who are here are people who are in like the original creative server, so it's actually a smaller group than even that. I'd probably just get to like the major snafu with the server. So eventually one of the mods, a mod that hated me, they absolutely hated me, and I didn't understand that at the time because I was stupid, and it was 2011, so I would have been only 14. They set up a giant town, and it's like a giant town. And if you wanted to live in the town, you had to pay them 4 gold ingots. Or was it 4 gold blocks? It was gold. It was, you paid in straight gold. To continue living in the town every week, you'd have to hand over 1 diamond. The place I was living at was at the base of the mountain that this town was built on. One day I log in, and it's just a bombed out crater. My younger brother's house is a bombed out crater as well. Because by this point, he was already, like, going around on the server. And what had happened was they thought that me saying I had a younger brother was me trolling. So that way I could get away with, like, screwing with people, Jekyll and Hyde style. So they blew up both houses. So I'm like, okay, fine, I know when I'm not wanted. And I go and I run. And I just run for like a day straight. And then I start building. I build this kind of little, like, hole-in-the-wall town. I wall it off in cobblestone. All the homes are pretty much like literally like caves, kind of like this, but a little neater, a lot neater, because they weren't looking for zombies. With, you know, like torches, a workbench, furnaces. And it was called Obscurity. And I wasn't looking for money. If you wanted to live here and there was vacancies, you could live here. One day I log in, and that other town is now butting up right against my town because it's expanded so much. What had happened was I hadn't run very far. I'd run just in a circle. And they're like, you're gonna have to move your town. Like, this is ugly, it's pathetic. And I need this space for a church. I'm like, well, we can share the space. And they're like, no. Either you pick all this up yourself, or you're not getting any of it back when it's all blown up. I have to say, like, a day's trip is 60,000 blocks from experience. Okay, the other thing you gotta keep in mind is this is early beta. There was no sprinting, there were no horses. This was this walking speed. And then, like, I'd get distracted, and then I'd turn. I'd get distracted, and I'd turn. And the consolation that they came up with is they raided my house, took all my blocks of iron, all of my blocks of diamonds, all of my TNT, because I was trying to collect a stack of every block, just to have, like a museum. But they took everything that they thought their town needed from me. And it sounds like I hated the server. I loved the server. You know, it is like the clearest, like, online gaming thing in my mind. Thinking about the time I spent on AJ's SMP. But they raided my house, took a whole bunch of my stuff, and I was allowed to keep the town if I paid 200 blocks of gold by the end of a week. And they took my mod privileges from me. I had to do it, and they're like, you have to do this the old-fashioned way, no cheats. And I mean, you do the math. 200 blocks of gold. And when I realized I couldn't like actually make that payment, because by the end of like 5 days I had 20 blocks of gold. Jesus. I didn't have enough. So I kind of just packed up my things, took all the essentials out of the house, took the doors off the house. I left some signs to the people of obscurity, and it's like, if you need me, come find me. I'm heading this direction with an arrow. So I packed up my things, and I just headed, like, I don't even know what direction that was, but I headed in a direction towards nothing. This was like a small island. It was a small-ish island. It was like a cliff just in the middle of the ocean. And I built just a tiny, pathetic little like island-adjacent shape. Imagine letting that much power go to your head that you raid X mods the house and like 200 blocks of the game's rarest material and you can stay. Exactly that. And it's all because my younger brother was a dick. And in hindsight, I think they made half of the... Christ, come on! They made a half of a right decision. I get like, hey, you could just be like, hey, your younger brother is causing problems. I know there really isn't a way to like prevent him from playing the server. Like, we'll let you keep what you have, but we don't feel comfortable with you in a mod position. I totally would have gotten that. In the moment, I've been like, oh, come on, but like, I get that. But being like 18,000 ingots of gold, or I blow up everything you know and love, is just, ugh. So I built a little house in a cliff, and I build some like apartment-y type houses there too. So if anyone else finds it, they're free to stay there. And again, I provide them crafting amenities. Okay, but like the beginning of what we'd expect from Minecraft is starting to come in. It's starting to look like a different beast. I'm sitting on my island. Nobody else is here because it's just me. I log in one day, and in the chat, the server, like the guy who runs the server and that moderator are chatting about what happened. But the moderator and the guy who runs the server are chatting back and forth about what happened with my town, what happened with all of that. He tries to spin it as like, oh, I was abusing my power by trolling people and saying it was another account. You know, he spins it his way, and the guy's like, I'll see what I can do. He's like, I'll see what I can do. I'll take care of it. And I was worried what that would mean. I was hoping the guy who runs the server, AJ, would come and have a chat with me. And he's like, so what happened? And I explain my situation. I explain, you know, we don't have the money for a second Minecraft account. So I understand why my moderator privileges were stripped. I get it. I don't think I should have had to pay an 18,000 gold tariff. I don't think I should have had to pay such a massive amount of money to this guy just to keep my small village. And I wanted to try to work something out diplomatically, and he didn't seem to want that. So I'm kind of, you know, at the end of my rope. Like, that's the chat I'm expecting to have. One day I go to log in and the server won't come up. This is like 2 days later. Server won't load. I try to look up the guy on Minecraft forums. His last post was announcing that the SMP server exists. It's not like, hey, we're shutting down the server. It's just, I've got a new Minecraft server, and it's over a month old. I try to look up any of the other moderators. They're not talking about the server. It was just gone. And, oh, it's night. It was a weird combination. It was an enlightening experience. It was also a really harrowing experience, and it's only gotten more, like, it's gotten worse in hindsight. It's like these people, like, I was there to try to make friends, because I was, you know, a 14-year-old kid with no friends, and now I'm a 22-year-old man with no friends. But I wanted friends out of this, and I didn't get friends out of this. I got a guy who hated my existence, stole everything I had, asked for an obscene amount of gold. But yeah, that was... I've tried to play Minecraft online multiplayer servers since. It's just not the same. I tried to do a realm with Dan. That went okay. But I just couldn't get into it because other people being there just remind... Oh my gosh. Well, okay, that's not bad. Like, it's just gonna end up reminding me of the time I spent on AJ's server. So it's been... I mean, you do the math. Oh, jeez. When you do the math, it's been 8 years since I played Minecraft with other people in that type of a capacity. As much as I'd hope I could say I miss it, I don't really miss it. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, I'd recommend subscribing. Patreon and social media links are in the description.